They came through like during the past life regression. It was this absolute knowingness that I am in a parallel reality, a praying mantis. Like, do that and you see how like your world will shift. Like, there was no courage. Like when I did that, it was just a knowingness I'm meant to do that. There was no fear involved. There was no worry involved. And the moment I did that, and I'm getting chills again, the universe literally heard, and it was a stamp that I'm ready to create this version, not judging yourself. Beyond not judging yourself, do not judge the choices that you made. Beyond that, do not judge the version of you that made those choices, because creation does not make mistakes. Creation makes perfection at all times. Creation makes decisions through you. Everything is perfect. Nothing is imperfect. Nothing is bad. That's what I live for. Now I know like what it means to serve humanity, and beyond that, serve creation, which involves and includes everybody and everything in every consciousness, the rocks, the rivers, the planets, the wind, the sun, leaves, like cetaceans, aliens, species, like everything is creation, and I serve that with love and light. And welcome to my world.
Our guest today is Toni Ghazi. Toni had paranormal experiences and was always interested in ETs and UFOs since he was a small child. However, he did not uncover his ability to channel until a few years ago during an Akashic Records reading he received. Toni is a spiritual guide, and he now channels the interdimensional and extraterrestrial insectoid beings, the Praying Mantis, from a collective called the Antarean Heart, bringing through messages of love and light and helping people to restructure limiting beliefs for a more fulfilled life full of passion and magic. We are looking forward to meeting him today. So welcome, Toni. We are happy to have you join us.
Hi, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Tara. It's a pleasure and an honor. And I feel like you're my long lost sister of many lives. And I'm very excited to be. Your vibration is off the charts to begin with. So no wonder we connected.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait to talk about life and whatever questions you have.
Well, this is exciting for me too, because I totally agree. I just felt like there was something about you that resonated right away. I felt very connected to you, and I just immediately, everything that you were saying was just like click, click, click for me. It just, resonated. It was something that I've heard before or that made sense. And I feel like we've known each other forever. So I'm so excited to talk with you. Toni, can you start by sharing, how did you get started as a channel, and what was that journey like for you?
Let me take it back to where I was born just quickly. Just give you a quick context. So I'm Lebanese. I was born in Lebanon, and I moved to the US with my family when I was 15 years old. And I came to the US not speaking any English, like zero. Like we knew French and then we knew Arabic, but nobody spoke like those languages here. So you adapt and you learn. You go on through life. And now in retrospect, which is so crazy. So this was back in 1995. So if you order magazines, you have to order them like via like the back, like the last page of the magazine, where you would like check off something and like send the check in the mail, and then you receive those magazines. I didn't speak any English, didn't have any money, I didn't order anything, but somehow to our home came a magazine called SETI, Search for Extraterrestrials. Have no idea how it came. And I had this remembrance like when I awoke that, wait, I had that magazine. So really looking back now, after I had awoken, I see these little breadcrumbs all over the path of awakening. So truly I've been awakening very tiny for a long time, but the massive awakening happened when COVID came. So COVID came, the whole world shut down, fear, tactics, put masks, I don't know what else. I didn't resonate with any of that. Like literally it did not make sense. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna listen to that. Now, of course, when I go outside, outside of the house, I respect people. We all have our own boundaries, and I kind of chill with that. But in my own psyche and mind, I'm like, nothing can affect me. I'm pure love. I'm pure light. Nothing can affect me. And that just really was super surprising because my husband was the opposite spectrum, glued to the TV, breaking news every 1 second, which how can you have breaking news that many times? But anyways, it was this whole dichotomy of world of like, he's living in this, in like the whole matrix. I like somehow left the matrix, but didn't know how it occurred. And then I ran across the Gaia channel, which I didn't have before. And all of a sudden, this documentary reads would pop up all about spirituality. The one that really resonated is interviews with extra-dimensionals with Ruben Langdon.
I love that show.
I know. I mean, that I obsessed with it for 3 months. I literally watched each episode, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 times over a 3-month period during COVID when we had a lot of time, kind of. And then I stopped. Now, I'm hearing the English, I'm understanding what's being said English-wise, but really I'm not understanding the concept of spirituality, how it fits in. A lot of it was like, over your head, quantum this, quantum that, parallel realities. I'm like, what? But I'm not watching it. Like, I am so immersed in it. It was amazing. But then in retrospect, like a year later, what I realized is my mind and my energy body needed to absorb that information and put these, all these clues in the field. So on my journey, as I awaken going forward, the piece of the puzzle will, like, in a sense, complete the journey, right? It was amazing. And then I find Bashar. We both know Bashar. Bashar is incredible. He's my second, in conjunction with Ruben Langdon, my second kind of massive awakening, and he helped me redefine and restructure my brain, literally, the way I speak, words, concepts. You know how it is. Mm-hmm. That I have 650 recordings of his, which is insane, and I've listened to each one more than, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. Always, every second of the day I have, while I'm in the shower, while I'm in the restroom, while I'm in the car, like everywhere. And I bought an iPad, like small iPod, specifically only Bashar, nothing else. I don't have any apps, no other, just him. So, and this happened for about 1.5 years. And then I got to a point where I realized this was a true permission slip for me, and I needed the guidance of Ruben Langdon's show, and then of Bashar, to get me to a point where I can become confident about myself and see myself from a very different, empowered way that I'm already connected. And then that's when I had my first past life regression. During the past life regression, my first one, the mantises came through. And I've heard the mantises, on Ruben Langdon's show through one of, I think, Elizabeth April, and one other person, I think Gita something. And that was my only, in a sense, context and information about praying mantises. I'm like, okay, these people connect with all kinds of beings, right? Very fluid, very quote unquote beings, because I didn't believe them as much. But when they came through, during the past life regression, it was this absolute knowingness that I am in a parallel reality, a praying mantis. No doubt, nothing on earth can shake me out of that belief. It was just an awakening and activation within me, and I knew. So the first image of the praying mantis was the triangular head, greenish color. I couldn't see the eyes and everything, but there was a knowingness and an integration with that energy. And just the next thing that came through was this long silhouette body, 20, 30 feet high, very high. It looked humanoid-like being. But as I'm looking at it in my third eye and experiencing this new reality, there was also this embedded knowingness that although we're coming through you as a human silhouette-ish light being, we really aren't what you see. We are of the praying mantis collective, but we are really of light that is so expanded, your physical mind will not comprehend our true form if we come to you in our true form. So we needed to come with an archetype that your mind's able to understand. And then the next image, they showed me a heart. This was boom, boom, boom. And although it felt so fast, it was so long too. You lived in the nothingness of all, and the timelessness of all, yet you had all the time in the world to experience it. It's an amazing feeling of all, right? It's the best way that I can describe it. The third image was this movie of this heart that was, so I was inside the heart, looking at the infinite layers of the heart, infinite, and I'm saying goes on and on and on. And on each of the layer, there are these these facets that are kind of crystals, but clear all over. It continues. And in the middle of the heart, there was a spark of light. And I say a spark, not a flame, not a massive fire, a spark. And there was a message that you are so powerful as a being, and meaning you, not just me, all of us, that all you need is that little spark of your power to illuminate the vehicle Merkaba that you are. And of that, and I have chills all over my arms, that one little spark of pure power, like reflected back onto one facet to the next, to the next, to the next, and it became this Merkaba of pure light. Chills all over. And then it was like, wow. To the point that I tried to create like that movie. If you go like to my website, on the main page, there's a small like little link where it says like click on the movie, and I tried to recreate like what I saw. I mean, if we're gonna really like recreate what I saw, it will cost millions of dollars. That doesn't exist in this reality yet. So like within budget, I did my best with a producer. But the message that you hear in that video is verbatim how it came through when I was in the past life regression under hypnosis. One of the most beautiful messages I've ever heard. And those three in like succession just really, really like solidified who I am in a sense. And I knew it. I go on like back to life. And of course, like the ego comes in. Was this real? Was this not real? Like what did I experience? And then synchronistically, I have a Debbie Solaris Akashic reading. And she literally says, you come from the Antarean Stargate, like which is a planet. I had no idea about that. I don't follow astrology. I don't know much about astrology. I know the moon, the sun, Uranus, a few little planets, and the rest, no clue. And she said the mantis beings come from there, and that was like the nail in the coffin. That was like, okay, I'm not crazy. What I experienced in my past life regression is true. The stranger that I don't even know just said that, and it was like boom. It was like an explosion. And from then on, I stepped into this new version of me that I knew I was a praying mantis. That I truly connect with them. That I represent them here. That I was one of the few of them that chose to come to this limited life, and the rest of history to a point. I'll jump one more thing. After that happened, then the world changed. My vision changed. UFOs began appearing, all kinds, like light ships above my house in Washington, D.C. I live in proper Washington, D.C., like downtown. Like light ships above my house, under the clouds. It's not a star. It's not a satellite. It's under the freaking clouds. Like the clouds aren't that high. You know what I mean? And that happened for about, I don't know, like 6 to 7 months. And then I became called to go outside in like the middle of the night, where I would get up and I just feel I need to go outside and look up in the stars. And like they would flash at me. They would give me Morse codes. Things would whiz by. I'm like to the point that I bought a night vision camera and I kind of like used it I'm like to capture, all kinds of things. So in like conjunction to the past life regression, and then Debbie Solaris's Akashic reading, and then all these miraculous things that happen, all the UFOs and things, it's just like, how can I not believe anymore? And it's just, it just became my new world, and I just flew, just like knowing this is who I am, regardless of what people say. No bearing, it doesn't matter what people say anymore. I know my reality. I know my truth, which we all are. And that just propelled me to a new height. And then my cat with my first boyfriend passed away after 20 years. And he asked me if I know a person who like speaks to the animals. And I like didn't. So I go on Google and I find this lady, Stephanie Light. She's amazing. So I was like, she channels Koba, the cat, great messages. And then she says, I actually teach channeling. I was like, what? You do? I thought, because Debbie Solaris is huge. It is a long wait for these people, and synchronicity just brought the right people. And I took her class, which was 6 weeks. We meet once a week for 2 hours on Zoom with like 6 other people. From day number 1, I jumped. Look, when you're learning to channel, like you're not trusting like yourself. There's ego, there's stories. Am I faking it? Am I crazy? Is this? Like the voice is not coming out. There's all these kind of blockages of illusion. From day number 1, I jumped. I didn't care if I was making stuff up. I just wanted to like pretend and try. That was my first thing, right? And I'm like, I'm just gonna imagine. And I find out later where really imagination is. It's not making anything up. We can talk about it later. But that kind of the extra nail in the coffin, then not only you connect like with the praying mantises, not only that your world is changing, not only that you can connect with UFOs, that you can shift your frequency in vibration and shift to a reality where like they appear to you. Now you are supposed to channel, and you are supposed to bring the message of the praying mantises to humanity, a newfound like version of me. One more little detail. I mean, there's a lot of details, but I'm just giving like the big milestones. And then last July of 2023, I'm up in the middle of the night, like I do, right? Because spirits do their own magic, at night. And I get called to research decals on the back of my car. I don't know how to make decals. I didn't even know like the term decal, like all the lettering. If you want to say, I'm a realtor, you can put a decal on the car. Never am I love real estate, and like that's my 3D job. It's truly my passion. There's a lot of spirituality in it, but I'm not called to put on the back of my car that I'm a realtor and I can help you sell real estate. Never have I been called. I don't think I'll ever be called. But that night, July 2023, I woke up in the middle of the night. You need to put a decal to say that you channel praying mantises or like extra dimensional beings, and like buy UFO stickers and like buy Bigfoot stickers that are like reflective and put them on the side of your car and back of your car. And I did that. And that was my declaration to the universe that as I drive in Washington, D.C. with clients in my car, a lot of them of all statuses, all levels of like work status, like do that, and you see how like your world will shift. Like there was no courage. Like when I did that, it was just a knowingness. I'm meant to do that. There was no fear involved. There was no worry involved. And the moment I did that, and I'm getting chilled again, the universe literally heard, and it was a stamp that I'm ready to create this version and be this version. And everything exponentially exploded, like everything, to the point I go to these events. They all just began. I have an event I've been going to an event since last November. I have one every single month until next February. I travel every month. I speak about spirituality. I speak about channeling. Even with my clients in the car, I get strangers, that are looking for houses every day. First thing they see is this massive decal, and I'll show it to you on my phone. And they are so receptive. And I help people from all over the world, like from every country. Like that you can imagine, with different denominations, like different religions. The decal on the back sparks some amazing spiritual like talks that everyone is so receptive, and I feel like I'm activating them through those talks. So I'll stop here. This is a quick milestones of how it happened, and I'm just flying on the wings of the universe. Just excitement, this beautiful magic life of magic, of heart and of light and of love and of connection, of integration for humanity and all other beings across the folds of the universes and existence itself. That's what I live for. Now I know like what it means to serve humanity, and beyond that, serve creation, which involves and includes everybody and everything in every consciousness, the rocks, the rivers, the planets, the wind, the sun, leaves, like cetaceans, aliens, species, like everything is creation, and I serve that with love and light. And welcome to my world.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that story, because I think it's important for people to hear other people's stories of how they arrived, in the spiritual place that they are in, especially when you have been living in a 3D world for your whole life, and then all of a sudden you have a bit of an awakening. And we talked a little bit about this earlier today as well, that once you kind of start down that path, it's just interesting how doors open for you. And then the next step, as long as you keep taking the next step forward, the next bit of information will find its way to you, and it's the right information for you at the right time. So timing is everything, and you just have to be open to receiving it. And if you are, you'll be getting the information that you need. It may not be the person, your neighbor or your friend or your family member that they need, but it's what you need, and you just have to trust that. So exactly. I love that that's your story. I did want to ask you, what was the connection, or was there a connection that you had with the praying mantis beings prior to all of this? Had they been a part of your life? Had you known about who they were, or what the connection might be from a cosmic standpoint, or is this all new information for you?
So it's like, this is the universal joke. It's like when I was a child, like we would go to my grandmother's home when we were in Lebanon, and I remember that like there were praying mantises all over her garden. Like we would talk about it as being like bringers good luck and of fortune. So that was clear in my childhood, but something that I completely forgot. And when I say completely forgot, it's almost like my memory was wiped until I awoke, and until I started speaking to them, the memory like came back that, oh my God, the praying mantises were around you all throughout your childhood. And totally, like when I say I forgot, I had no clue. Even as I'm watching them and I'm connecting, not one memory came back. But when that came back, then I'm like, okay, the breadcrumb has begun a long time ago, since I was a child. very long time ago. So that was the crazy thing. I'm like, how can I not remember something? Because I love my grandmother. We loved when we went to her place. Like we would stay all summer. It was amazing. How can you forget beautiful memories like that? But I did. I truly did until I reestablished that connection. But also I'm afraid of insects. Now, when like we were children, like we talked about the praying mantises, but I never played around with them or touched them because I've always been afraid of insects and anything crawly, anything with many legs, like cockroaches or spiders or bees, like afraid to death. I don't know, maybe I was afraid of my own power then, but now I love every being. I really challenge myself to like meet those beings and really speak to them. And I have like really developed this beautiful relationship with all insectoids and all other beings, but specifically insectoids because I had my own fear like towards them that completely eliminated any fear, any doubt. They are light beings, they are creation, they are part of me, they are another facet.
What's so interesting about that is that I also have that fear of insectoids. They're just not my favorite. I'm fine with reptiles, I should say, you know, like snakes and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the insect world is just not something I'm drawn to or am too interested in. But I actually have my own praying mantis experience in terms of the insect itself, not anything from a greater perspective. But and you might find this interesting, for a period of maybe, I want to say 2 weeks or so, I had found a praying mantis I have a plant by my front door, and there was a little baby one just hanging out in the plant. And he was there for days. And then there was one that literally approached my back door. Like I could see it through the glass and it looked like it was like standing facing the door. And again, it was there for a couple of days. And then within a short period of time, there was one that was stuck to the screen of a window in the bathroom. And he literally looked like he was just looking into the bathroom. And then finally, I was out to lunch with a friend one day, and I don't know where it came from, but it literally dropped into my lap. Like we were sitting under an awning. There was no tree or anything around, and it just fell into and I looked down, and they were all little tiny baby ones, but and I was actually very kind to them. I did not do anything to harm them, but I just thought that was interesting because I did have those experiences. So I don't know what that means.
So that's real contact.
Oh,
no,
okay.
that's real contact. It's not a coincidence that they appear at the front door because they know you're going to enter the front door to see them. It's not a coincidence they're in like the bathroom because as you go in the shower or wherever they are, you can see them.
Okay, that's weird that you knew that because they were in the shower window. That's really funny that you just said that.
Okay, I don't know why I just said that, but anyways. And like they were looking at you to let you know, and they communicate through them to you, right?
Yeah.
Because if they appear as them, whether it's the praying mantis on the physical look or how tall they are, and maybe a bit jarring for maybe not you specifically, but for your mind, maybe jarring. So they come in a very kind of smooth way of, you know, all these beings like within our life that we're used to and know they exist here. They kind of like introduce, but know that they communicated with you, have been, and they always are around you. And the fact they came in 4 or 5 times and one drop in your lap, it's almost like they were slapping you around, like, lady, we showed up 4 times. What's the matter with you? I'm jumping on your lap, like, you know what I mean? It's you know, no, totally. Because look, up until this time, like when I connect to them, I don't have praying mantises in like the back. I've never seen praying mantises in the US. Like we did see them in Lebanon, like when I was younger, but also when I connected with them and I took like ownership of who I am, they would appear on lock boxes of like realtors. Like, you know, like when you go see a house, it's like a small lock box on the handle. Out of all the places they could be hanging out, why on the specific lock box to ask to put number to get the key? You know what I mean? And then I was showing this condo on the 12th floor. And of course, when you're showing condo, like you have to schedule a time, you get there at 5:30 p.m. or whatever, or 6 or 7, like, you know, and you enter the home, there's nothing on the 12th floor, not a plant. There was a praying mantis on the screen of the window. In that specific time when I was entering to show this unit. Crazy stuff like that to remind me that we are connected. Don't doubt. We're here. We're showing you. So, you know, I mean, after all of these instances, no way on earth I wouldn't believe that I'm one of them, or I'm their emissary, or I'm their ambassador, whatever you call it. These are all labels, right? But like back to channeling, like for one moment, that you're that your audience may find a bit interesting and cool is that I've always stuttered. And like right now, like you don't see me like stutter a lot because I use the word when you hear me say like use the word and then like, that's my bridge from one word to another. Because if I don't use it, the word doesn't, I'll be like, nothing comes out. It's awful.
Mhm.
And like when I was a child, up until I was 25, up until college, I stuttered a lot. And I would dread going, I love learning, but I dread going to schools that, because I like didn't want to be called on, and I would get called on every freaking single time. I would go into a panic mode, like whole tunnel vision. I would sweat. It was just a traumatic internal experience not to be able to speak, especially when you wanted to share and speak and you have some cool ideas and like the answer, and I wouldn't raise my hand so many times, to say the answer because I would stutter. So that was my own journey in my 3D of this prison of speech in my own throat. But when I began channeling, the most miraculous thing happened. Flow of speech was like incredible. Like I don't stutter when I channel, and that was my own proof that as crazy as I may think I am, no way on earth I cannot stutter. But the fact that I don't stutter like during the channeling was literally my nail in the coffin, that I am shifting frequency, that perhaps I'm really speaking from heart and not from mind. It's just the most beautiful gift ever. And and here it comes. And I've honored like stuttering. I've honored the way I squeeze my eyes sometimes to let the word out or move my hand or whatever. It is part of who I am. But at times I've wished I could be in the channel state constantly, so I don't stutter, because it's been such a long history of battled or experienced or whatever. So yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because, you were very vulnerable in sharing that information. And I think that there's people out there that will resonate with. So that's probably the reason why you felt compelled to say that. But I do think, I've heard that before. A lot of times people who have disabilities, when they, even larger disabilities, when they're doing the thing that they love the most, whether it's singing or playing music or whatever it is, they are just doing it effortlessly, and there's nothing that's holding them back. Their disability is like non-existent during that time. So that definitely shows you that energy is just pure and it's whole and it's coming through them. They're the vessel that the information is coming through, or the music or whatever they're creating. So I think that's amazing, and thank you for sharing that. So I think it's important information.
Thank you.
So switching gears, Toni, I know you mentioned you've done a past life regression. Can you share a little bit more about that as far as what you got as information? It sounds like from what you've already shared that you discovered that you have been a praying mantis being in a past life, but I believe you may have mentioned that you had some other past lives as well. Is that right?
Yes. So I had, can't remember, I want to say at least 2, maybe 3 like past life regressions, and this is all I've had up to this point. But like during the first past life regression, like the praying mantis like came initially very, like that was the first thing that came through, and it's like, no, this is who you are, etc. Now let's go into your life. Maybe that was my first inception. I don't know. So like one of the past life regressions that like came through, I was a black young boy, about 10 years old, and I was buried alive in a coffin, like underground. I could see myself in like the coffin. I could see it getting dark. It's like the movies, like almost. I could see like all the dirt kind of seeping like through the cracks, right? As the master or whoever like was burying me. And it became completely dark, but I am panicking. When I say I am panicking, like no more, I can't breathe anymore. It was so dark. It was so scary. And I died. And I'm speaking now of instant. The instant I die and I'm in this intense panic, and I'm getting chills right now, I am right above my burial like site, cracking up, laughing hysterically at me freaking out in the coffin. Because in that instant, and I'm laughing right now, I really realized there is no death. Why in the hell was I freaking out? It was the most hilarious experience, but yet the most intense, terrifying experience. And then at the same time, I saw like this black horse that was right above the ground where I was buried. It was the master's horse, but he was my guide throughout that life. He interconnected with the master to kind of guide me up to that point, and his name was George. I'm speechless now because I'm like, what a beautiful, miraculous extension, of reality. And just the dichotomy, these 2 extreme emotions at once. fear, like complete terror, complete panic, but yet laughing out of my gut and myself, like, why were you like freaking out? And I knew then there is no death. I knew then that we just like transfer energies, like we change, but it was very visceral. It was very real. It was, I can see it right now as I'm speaking, and it was beautiful. And I know that I've lived a lot of African lives, a lot of like slavery type, a lot of trauma, because I really resonate with a lot of my African clients and Indians, right, from India. I just feel that I've lived that life. I've been there. I feel home. I feel I was them, right? Whichever timeline. The next past life regression, I was in Africa and I was 4 months old and I was with my mom and she's in the desert, like foraging for food. And like she had me in a sack, like one of those sacks where you put your baby on your chest. And she's walking in the heat, it's like 104 degrees. And then she has a heart attack and dies, right? In this barren land. There's not a tree or there's not a lot of vegetation. And she dies. And I'm this 4 month old in this heat. I was there for 4 days. I can clearly see in my mind's eye, and I can see it right now, my hand, small little like infant hand, shriveling over time. It was like a time lapse of my hand being like filled with water and like healthy, and then with the heat becoming drier. You could see the bone, you could see the skin very shrivelly, like super shrivelly, and then I'm about to die. I could feel this like tunnel of like I'm transitioning, and as that happened, this most beautiful man's hand from here on, hair on it, had beautiful nails, hand felt like love. I don't know how to describe this love. It looked like a hand, but it was love. It was the essence of love. Although it appeared as the archetype of hand, it probably wasn't a hand. The next thing I see is this beautiful man, long hair, green eyes, long beard. I think it was whitish beard, but his skin is very olive. It was not Jesus. I knew that. And then I flashed like 17 years later, and I realized that that man that I thought, in the hand that came through, that I thought I lived with for 17 years because I had assumed that he took care of me, was not the person that I lived with. I actually lived and I was rescued by another family, but this was my future self, and I'm getting chills again, that has been guiding me throughout that life. I mean, look, chills, like things I cannot imagine. You know, I always tell people that I don't read books. I'm not a book reader. I admire people that read Harry Potter or spend a weekend. My mind is not equipped to read. I can read articles online, I can read emails, and that's about it. I'm very auditory and I'm very visual. That's my work. I know my brain doesn't have imagination of like Harry. Like I don't read books that are so like fantasy that I'm like, okay, I just like imagine this crazy world, right? Like these, like I know things about myself that when I imagine or like when I have these experiences, I know it didn't come from this physical brain of words and like this bank of words, right? Just crazy stuff like that. It's just so out of this world. And then I had one QHHT actually session, which is kind of like hypnotherapy-ish, but it's not, and I guess it's past life regression. Actually, it's my third, where I went back to a life. Again, I was a slave. I think I was on a boat where they broke my back. Literally, they broke my back with a bat, or like my back was cracked and I couldn't move. It was the most debilitating experience of being alive, but yet the body's not functioning. Very imprisoned in this thing. And actually, like, when I awoke, I like began experiencing lower back issues and like discs, to where when it flares up, I cannot walk for a week. You know, I'm a young man, but I'm 44 now. So I'm not like old enough, and I haven't had like massive injuries to cause that. But I really feel that my awakening like began, or like because I awakened, it like went through the back to like release traumas that have been kind of like embedded in my field for all these years. I know I've been traumatized a lot of times. I know I shouldn't say I've been traumatized. I chose a life of like hardship to be able to experience that facet of things, because I believe I knew that I was all, and I want to experience something different beyond the light. Let me jump to the other spectrum of pure challenge, pure limitation, and I want to see how that feels. And I feel like those two combinations really are like part of who I am, because even in this lifetime, like, you know, I grew up poor. I don't come from a rich family in any stretch of an imagination. I even support my family these days. So I grew up in lack, which was like another irony. But like through the lack, you know, I've reached a like very flowy state of like success and abundance, that I can see that even my spiritual life, the themes I chose are always these extremes of either pure light or extreme challenge. Like I may have probably like lived stuff in between and like neutral, but it's those two extremities that allowed me to, in a sense, understand the whole spectrum. Because I've always had the ability to understand everyone, and I didn't know how. Like, and like Craig, my husband, would get crazy. Like when we listen to politics or when we see something on TV, and I'm like, I see his point, and he's like, well, how can you see his point? Or he's unable to see the whole spectrum of like potentialities. I always could, and it could be because of this that I've lived these extreme lives, that I can put myself in that person's shoes and I can see why they chose to decide that. And it's a valid, and I don't judge that choice. I don't judge. I understand, you know, that it's almost like I've been in your shoes. I've done that. I've done this. I've done, like, I get you. So, and like what I just uttered, like towards the end, is new to me. I've never experienced it or expressed it in this way. So I want to thank you and acknowledge you and your audience, whoever will be watching, because I feel like it's all the energetics that allowed it to come, this expression, and it's healing me as I'm saying.
Well, you really challenged yourself a lot. If you've lived both extremes, that's you taking on those challenges to learn lessons and grow your evolution of your soul in a much quicker way. And I know you and I both love Bashar, so he always talks about how when you take that elastic band and you pull it so far back into darkness, when you let it go, you fly that much further into the light, right? So it sounds like that's kind of the challenges you've been taking on for yourself, which kudos to you, because that's a lot. There's a lot there to deal with. But I want to jump back to your first regression that you brought up, where you said you were looking at you were a child that was buried, I believe, and you were looking at the body. And obviously going through that process is a very traumatic experience, right? But then you were laughing when you went to the other side, realizing kind of the funniness of it all, because you do know your energy that cannot be destroyed, and you're basically transforming your energy from one form to another. And it's interesting because I think that way when life gets really hard, there's one little catchphrase that always pops into my head, which kind of helps alleviate some of the stress. And it sounds a little silly, but I just say, you know what? Life is a game. This is just part of the game. And if I think of things in that way, it takes the magnitude of the heaviness off of whatever it is I'm dealing with. And it lets me get through it in a less stressful way, where I'm not carrying so much emotion around the situation. Which brings me to my question, because that alludes to the fact that life is a matrix, right? And I think you've talked about this before in other interviews, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. You know, what have you gotten from the beings that you channel about that? What is the nature of our reality? And I know limiting beliefs play a big role in how we create our life and our reality. So what can you share with us about that, and what we can do to kind of help ourselves with creating the life that we want to live?
Yeah, very good question. And like just quickly, like the praying mantises have allowed me this experience in the world. Again, my mind, no way on earth could conceive of such experiences. When I go into the state, I'm literally experiencing insane infiniteness. I've channeled ideas of like the black velvet void. Like, for example, what can my mind say about the black velvet void? It's black and maybe velvety and it's void. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I can imagine beyond that, but through them and like through the messages, I like began really understanding that everything is intelligent consciousness, and they basically expanded my mind to see things not just from our limited words, and to allow that consciousness to help me understand what it is, and vice versa, not from the brain to outside, from the infinite to the brain. But to go back to your question, through the expanded experiences that they like took me on, I realized, oh my God, like if everything is real intelligence, then this like life that we live in, we are creating. We are the projector of our life. We are the creators through our vibration and like through our frequency. And they said you are on the stage of creation, that you jump on stage and you literally like put on this costume and you play out that role. Why? To experience what it feels to be that role. And then you're done you're done with this, you take off the costume, and then you put on another costume and you just play it out. Why? To be able to understand what that costume, what that facet is, and what the experience is. And like the more that you get like into that state, and like really like within your life, when you begin seeing like those changes, and like believing that the world that I see is not as solid and hard and real, like that it is, and it is me from my heart, my portal, creating that projection. Literally, you're this projector that illuminates this light on the wall. On the wall, you see the movie, but that movie is emanating from the projector inside. Belief systems, the thought, the feelings, the emotions. When you really begin embodying what that is, you re-empower yourself that, oh, what I'm seeing in my life is coming from inside of me. What belief system like do I have? What story did I create? What stories were created that I believe that others created? What like what the media has created like for me to believe enough that I'm creating that story. What school system? Don't get me started about school. Schools is a thing that I'm like, oh my God, it's so in the 3D matrix that it keeps you even further in the 3D matrix. Not that school is bad, but the way that it's played out and the way that they structure it to keep you in the 3D matrix. So when you begin believing that you are the projector, and literally every morning and then every night when you wake up, see yourself literally as a projector and say, as I go on my day to day, whatever I see in my world, I'm going to remind myself that I'm projecting it, whether it makes sense, whether I know where it's coming from, whether I know where the belief system is, don't worry about it. Begin training yourself to thinking, I'm the projector and what I see out there is from my projection. Get comfortable with that. Once you're there, one deep layer down, if that makes sense. Then like the next day, or maybe like a week later, after like you have acclimated believing, because now you're going to restructure your brain saying, I'm the projector. We've never been told I'm the projector. We're always told something outside of us caused this. It's God. It's, I don't know, it's something exterior. First step is believe that you are. Once you're there, then the next day, like you go out, which you witness, beautiful and not beautiful, from your aspect of like judgment, because we live in a world of judgment where we're trained to judge, which eventually you'll step away from that. If it's beautiful, just reflect back, why am I seeing this beautiful experience, and bring it back to you, and just say like something within me must be causing that beautiful thing. I have a lot of beauty in me, like something very simple like that. Then if something awful happens or challenging, then just like take a moment and say, okay, that's a projection of mine. Where is it? And try to start building like a relationship like within yourself, but don't stress too much on needing to know the answer right now, and like needing to unlock and like needing to heal and needing to change. Initially, just begin that relationship with yourself that, okay, what I'm seeing outside is inside of me. You see the exterior, you bring back to the interior. You see the exterior that's not, that's a bit challenging, you bring it back like inside. And I think through those little like exercises, you begin becoming very comfortable on deconstructing your work. And as you go on your day, you're going to feel very empowered that, okay, like this just happened. Well, I'm going to find out why, and I'm going to make sure the next time it doesn't happen, and I'm going to project from the inside something different. And then it will propel you on a journey of healing, on a journey of really understanding who you are. And there's a lot of layers. But through that journey, what you're going to learn really, the part that will take you to the next notch, I found, is not judging yourself. Beyond not judging yourself, do not judge the choices that you made. Beyond that, do not judge the version of you that made those choices, because creation does not make mistakes. Creation makes perfection at all times. Creation makes decisions through you. Everything is perfect. Nothing is imperfect. Nothing is bad. When you reach that level of not judging you, the versions of you that made every decision, whether it's good, bad, or neutral, then you propel yourself in neutrality. And from the space of neutrality, then you can begin drawing your life new. You're starting from a blank canvas. You feel like super empowered, because look, judgment separates you. Exactly what it does. You judge a choice you made, you're separating an aspect of you, and you're putting it all the way a mile away. So now your picture here has a hole. You judge, let's say 20 decisions that you've made throughout your life. You literally have holes that you took a piece of you and threw it over there, and it's flying in the air. Alone, feeling lonely and feeling sad. But in the meantime, you're walking as this body, as this beautiful image of God, of creation, of divine, with holes in you. So when you give honor, when you give love and compassion, and you tell that self of you and those decisions of you that you made, I honor you as a valid part of creation, because they are valid. And I'm getting chills, because through each decision, you were able to see life from that perspective. And that perspective is a valid part of reality and creation. And that information went back to source. Every decision, when you begin honoring them and not like judging them and say like, thank you for being you. Thank you for making that decision. Because through that decision and result and experience, I expanded as a soul. You literally, and I'm getting more chills, you literally bring that piece back, and the whole that you have. And the more you bring these pieces, you begin filling the holes and becoming the wholeness that you are. And you begin to see yourself as the whole, WHOLE, the whole presence, the whole divinity. I mean, crazy messages like this, they brought me that image and that experience of every time you thought, oh, this was a bad decision, I should have done this. That's all judgment. You're throwing a piece of you. That's why we walk in this life feeling lost, like feeling lonely, feeling super judged, like feeling not grounded, like in a sense, not knowing who we are. Of course we don't know who we are, because every piece of us is flying in the air. There's distance we created because we never acknowledge them. We never thank them, because creation does not make mistakes. Creation does not judge. Everything from creation's view is expansion. I kind of like semi-consciously channel a little bit.
I love that. I love that you offer a practical exercise for people to follow with the projection exercise. I think that's a great thing for someone to do. And you're right, creation does not make mistakes. If you're here for a reason. And, you just have to trust that and know that. So I think, Bashar also has an exercise where he always offers, if something resonates for you, then you should stop and ask yourself, what must I believe about this situation in order to feel this way? And that kind of helps point you in the right direction for opening you up to what your limiting belief might be, that you can then just shine the light of awareness on it.
Exactly. When we say creation doesn't make mistakes, it's easy in our mind to think creation is still outside of us. You are creation. You are creation. So when that version of you that made what you think is the bad choice, you as a creator have created that on purpose to experience that experience to expand. Because how else can creation expand if you're always in the light? If you're always Mother Mary, if you're always Jesus on that path, fine, you're expanding in that. But creation is everything else, right? So, but you are the creation. You are the creator. It's not outside of you. So retrain your mind to think that way too. Because it's easy to snap into the old paradigm of, oh yeah, like this, it's not outside of you, it's inside of you. You're the creator of everything.
Absolutely. And bringing things back to the mantids, because I'm curious to learn a little bit more about them. So I know that they've played a role in helping us humans as a species to evolve. What have you learned, or what have you received as information where they've shared exactly what they've done to assist us?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of beings. They have their hands into everything. They showed me an image of them where there's this energy like form into the fabric of like the universe. They're literally everywhere, and they have an awareness and like consciousness of everything that's happening individually, and they have the awareness and consciousness of everything's happening as a whole. They're like a supercomputer, and even like supercomputer sounds super antiquated the way that they describe it, but they're a supercomputer involved in every species across the universe, assisting them in activation and awakening. But like yet they're also like looking out from an overview like perspective of all of the beings within creation, if that makes any sense. Like with the human beings, they've always been on the periphery. Like they don't come often, and like they haven't come often. They haven't appeared to many people. I haven't seen them physically, although I'm sure I will. I've seen it in my third eye, and I've seen their ships. So I mean, like that's as physical as it can be. But that's part of their role. It is not to get too deep and involved yet, at least, at this stage. But as we awaken as humanity, as we assist each other to rise the vibration, then we will be facing them. We will be like interacting with them. They help a lot of other beings. So through other beings, they assist. So like you've heard of the gray like abductions, like gray aliens, which from their perspective, it's never an abduction. They say it's an encounter, and it's a reacquaintance, and it's a reintroduction, and it's just you coming aboard their ship. There's no abduction. It's all a co-creation. You agreed to do that, but because you don't remember, it feels like that. But of course, the government and other organizations that want to keep you in the matrix, they're going to give the narrative that you're being abducted. Listen to me. It drives me crazy. Like my like 3D mind, it's absolutely like hilarious. These beings are so advanced. It doesn't matter, gray, not gray, whatever being. They're so advanced. If they want to annihilate Earth, they would have annihilated Earth billions of years ago. What are they waiting for? Like, it's not like they're less advanced than us. It doesn't make sense in my mind. All that narrative is meant to keep you in fear, and fear keeps you in like the matrix. So, like through the gray, like through the reintroductions, when you go on their board, they do their own activations, but the mantises are always in the background, supervising the grays to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do in a sense. Because remember, they activate all beings, one of which, as the grays are activating you, they're activating the grays. So it's always an interlinking of all these activations to shift humanity. And it's all by the free will choice of us that we can rise to the level that we want. They'll never get to the beings, like generally will not choose for you and will not activate certain parts of you that you aren't have the capability to have the free will to make that choice, right? So like they may awaken like a part of you where you expand a bit and see the world in a different way, but it's your free will through that activation that you decide to either expand or not expand, right? Right? Because otherwise, like we'll be puppets of other beings if they're like making us do things that they want us to do, and like why they're so advanced they don't even not care, but they're so advanced it has no effect on them if we rise or not rise, like in a sense vibrationally from like a limited perspective. But in reality, as we ascend, the grays ascend. As we ascend, other beings ascend. Why? Because we're interlinked and interconnected to begin with. There's never a separation between all of us as consciousnesses. They're geneticists. They tweak genes, but not only like physical genes, light body genes. Remember, the physical body is just a costume. They really like deal like mostly with like light, sacred, geometrical essence as light, because we're reflections of light, and like through that they can tweak they can move angles, they can do like other things to awaken certain parts of us. I'm just thinking as far as humanity, because they do other things. They create galaxies, literally. They create universes through light, like frequencies, through color frequencies, and through sound. Also through the clicking, they're able to restructure our minds and our brain and our like synapses and our neurons or whatever they're called in the brain. And they can, because like really like we're sound vibration like to begin with. We're not this physical essence we see, but it's through the filter of our eyes where we can understand to see that we see what we see, if like that makes sense.
Well, I know you just mentioned that you do have video of UFOs that you've seen, and you were kind enough to share that. So I would love to bring it on screen here and show everyone what you have. And I think we have the sound going as well, but you can narrate this if you'd like.
Yeah. So this was during like on like the cicadas, and what you don't see like very clearly is that ball of light is super bright. It's even 100 times brighter than the sun, and it keeps rotating and it disappears. Yeah, and then it becomes the silver, and it was so far away that it was so far away.
Yeah, because it's daytime and you can still see it very clearly.
Very. And on my iPhone, like when I zoom in, it's super clear. So it is bright, like white light, and it will disappear. It becomes this like spherical, like silver object, and will disappear again, like insane. And this came to me 3 times, 3 different months: 2021, May, June, and the end of June again.
I'll turn the volume off so that way we can hear you better.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it was incredible. And I have another video that I sent you that I'm not sure if like we're gonna go. During that video, 4 or 5 like UFOs whizzed by it. Also, and when I say whiz, like you have to pause and kind of like move the screen a little bit, screen by screen, to be able.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be fast enough, but I did see them going by. Let's see if we can catch them.
At another time.
Yeah. Thank you for flashing bright.
Here, I'll turn the volume off on that one as well.
So here I
I
was
just saw
thinking,
some.
yeah, there. You see how it's flashing? Oh, here.
Yes,
You see and like there's
there
another
was
one
a
that comes. Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Oh, I see it.
yes, 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 yes.
Oh, wow. And what brought you outside to look for these?
Well, this is the thing. I don't look up in the sky. Like it's like never been a habit where I look up in the sky. I'm always looking up and down if anything else, so I don't trip. Um, but you just know, and I mean, this is broad daylight, right? Like,
Right.
and it was so far because like the first time that I saw like the first sighting, I truly thought it was an aluminum foil, and how silly of me, right? I really thought it was like aluminum foil that's shining against the sunlight. And then I think about like, well, this aluminum foil must be really big because it's so high up for it to even. And I'm like, how can aluminum foil be flying? Like really, like my mind's trying to. I was in shock because I'm like, you always want to like see something, but like you see during broad daylight, it's like 3:41 p.m. It's just like. Okay, and this, so I have a friend that's in Australia that has a special machine that can sense EMF, electromagnetic phenomenon. And then our ships, our helicopters, and our plane don't have or don't emit electromagnetic like frequency.
Really? Wow.
Yes, it's very minimal. So like it's like what you see there is the electromagnetic frequency that is being emanated by the ship, and that's proof, in a sense, I guess scientifically, that it's not a ship that we produce or is of this earth, or
And then this is
yeah,
the last one that we have here. Oh,
yeah,
actually, this is pretty. I like the music on this one.
yeah. And then
Oh my
wait,
goodness,
so
you
that's
guys.
an orb.
We made it slow motion.
Yeah, so that's an orb in Washington D.C. Above my house.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know it moved like that. I thought I went straight.
Yes.
Wow.
This is not even flashing.
Not a sound, guys. And my guy will also zoom in more. You'll see.
Is that an orb of light? Look.
And at one point, it had a smiley face. I swear to God, and I have a screenshot of it. But it's funny because your guy like did a good job.
It's like this perfect circle.
And what you see here is like a string of lights.
I'm gonna mute so I can hear you better.
Yeah. So hold on a second, just quickly.
Wow. Just think of all of the things that are up in the sky that we don't see because we just don't look up enough.
I know. So look, this is, I don't know if you can see it. I'll show you once we're done. Yeah,
Here, I
totally.
can take that.
And I have so many videos. I have over like 30 videos or more, maybe 50, of like stars doing Morse code, like doing Morse code to me. A lot of these orbs, there was like a V-shaped chip that flew over my house. Just crazy, crazy, crazy. So this is like the orb that we just saw, and like you see the smiley face.
Oh, look at that! Yes, you can see it.
I know, like literally.
That is so funny.
I know. So just crazy, just so beautiful.
Wow.
But yeah, but this is the orb again, which like we just saw.
Yes, that looks just like the video.
And not a sound. Oh, let me show you one more thing, if like you don't mind. I did not send this to you. So as I awoke, I started having at home, and it began with our dog. We have 5 dogs that are rescued, and like we love dogs, and like we love to give them a good home. And all of a sudden, we were in the bedroom, and he started barking through the window. And this is on the second floor of our home. And if you're looking out the window as a dog or a human, you're looking up at the sky. There's not a tree or a bird or a human for the dog to bark. And I'm going like, what is he barking at? He's going, oh, right? So I pull out my camera, and like just by accident, it was around 10 p.m. like during the winter. So the flash turned on as I'm recording like the video, like because I'm thinking like, where am I going to capture, because like the dog is like barking, and I realized There's all these orbs that fly, like in the house. Everywhere I go, I have the ability, and it could be the frequency and vibration that I hold. Orbs fly, like flying. They come, they dance in front of like the camera and go, and they're always like spherical. And I will show them to you. But beyond that, like what occurred like during Christmas, it's out of this world. The orbs are doing their thing. And again, I get called to begin filming. It's not like I'm like sitting there all night waiting for them, right? I get called to film, and I talk to the orbs like, please guys, come to the camera and just stay in front of the camera a bit. Like, come closer. You're always like whizzing by. Like, dude, our camera is not fast enough to catch you, you know? And literally, like when I said that, this happened. You're gonna go crazy. I don't know if it's fairies. I don't know. And you're gonna hear my reaction. So you're gonna see some of the orbs that are flying, like which are very clear. Like you see them flying.
Yes.
This is not duck, believe me, because okay. Now I'm gonna just fast forward to the part.
Okay.
It looks like two eyes, and you're gonna hear my reaction. It's just. Oh yes! 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 I see you! I see you! I see you! Hi! 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 Oh my God! Hi!
Wow.
What is that?
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh yes! 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 I see you! I see you! I see you! Hi! 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 Oh my God!
It does look like two eyes, like two googly eyes.
Like pure energy. I'm like, oh my God! And like Craig hears me like from. I was like, what's going on? I'm like, you have no idea what just happened. Like I get super fired up when this stuff happens.
That is so funny. We just had another guest that we interviewed, which we haven't finished editing yet, but he had a ghost condo, as he liked to call it. And he said that he could talk to the ghosts in the orbs, and he can tell them to do a loop-de-loop, and that they will come in and do a loop-de-loop right in front of him, and that he's gotten video of it as well. So apparently you can communicate with them.
Of course you can, because it's all energy. And let me show you like a few more of like UFOs that I caught. So this is during, so like you see the light ship again there.
Yes.
And then like you see like that object right next to it.
Yes.
And then, so look, I have all these recordings that I've recorded probably like a year and a half ago or like 2 years ago. Every once in a while I get called to go back and like watch one. And I begin pausing and kind of going like frame by frame. And a year or 6 months later, I find spaceships, like saucer spaceships that were there. So this is one of them here.
And you didn't notice it when you first recorded it?
No, because like they go by like so fast, like they always like see where I circle?
Yes, I can see it in the bottom right corner.
Yeah, so that's one. And then the next one is where it's going up, right? Because I'm kind of
Yep. Okay, I can see that.
And like the next one is actually like much higher up.
Oh yeah. I can
and then you see the light being down here. You see that?
Oh yes, yeah, I can see that as well. Wow.
And then but these whiz by super fast. But I didn't recognize them, but I get called a few months after to just look again, like for fun, to kind of recreate like the memory. And then it's just crazy stuff like that. Just crazy.
I don't know how you can have the eyes for that, because I would look up in the sky and not see that.
Listen, it's frequency and vibration. I don't think it's like my eyes that are working. I think it's our energy just like connecting and allowing the eyes to see.
Yeah. Well, I know that channeling is one of your favorite things to do.
Yeah.
So would you feel like doing a little channeling for us?
Yes, I would love to. Oh my God.
Okay, it's exciting.
I know, it's so exciting. You're welcome to ask questions. They love the dialogue.
Okay.
But if you don't want a dialogue, they'll bring through messages, and maybe for you directly, I don't know, and maybe for an audience member, I don't know. But if you have no questions, like just be silent, and they'll.
Oh, I have lots of questions.
I love it. Of course you do. Okay. All right. It will take me about 30 seconds to get into the state. They'll bring a message through, and then once they stop, they say, "You're welcome to ask a question," whatever.
Great.
And we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay.
And from the Antarean Stargate, we come through in this way to co-create with you this beautiful reality of oneness. To merge our hearts with your heart. And to blend both of our energies together as one. As we do that, our energies will become one with all and will activate remembrances of who you are as a total being creator that you are. Remember that as you witness your world, the projection that is exterior of who you are, as the channel already mentioned, is really emanating from inside of you, from your hearts, because your hearts are the portals of realities. When you experience contact, when you experience ships, when you see things in your sky, when you experience things within your physical reality that is not of normal status, let's say, know that that is not something emanating from the outside in, but it is something that is occurring from inside out, back to the idea of you being the projector of your own reality. And know that with each activation that occurs within your hearts, it allows those experiences to be seen and experienced. It is very important that you know and understand that what you witness on the outside of your body is really emanating and is occurring from the inside of who you are. The multidimensionality aspect, the infinite that already exists within you. Nothing that is projected outside of you is truly on the exterior of your energy. It is all being emanated from your hearts. And know that you are the magicians of your lives. Magicians you always have been. Through magic, you are able to experience and create a world of remembrance. And through magic, you are able to experience and create a world of forgetfulness. And even though in the idea of forgetfulness, the seemingly feeling of disempowerment, being separate than all, know that that is being created to begin with your infinite power. The illusion itself is being created by your power. The more that you begin connecting the dots of the infinite power that you are, the more that you are able to tap into that infinite power and change the world that you do not desire. And begin to vibrate on a frequency and sound vibration of your desire. And through your journey, know that you are forever guided by others and the many. You are never alone, have never been alone, will never be alone. Many of your aspects, many of your family members are always on your journey, assisting you on the periphery. So ask for guidance, ask for assistance, ask for illumination. Ask for the multidimensional aspect of who you are that you perhaps do not know yet to reveal itself to you. And open your heart to the impossible. Open your heart to the infinite possibilities that you are. And with that, we welcome you within our family, and we thank you for this beautiful co-creation of oneness. As you allow us the perspective of your lives to be translated to us to go back to source itself. We thank you. You may begin with your dialogue, questions or statements when you feel is appropriate.
Thank you so much for this communication. And our first question is, what is the meaning of life and how can we manifest the life of our dreams?
Life essentially has no meaning. It is meaningless. Not that it has no value. It indeed has value. But we say meaningless because you, as a creator, have the power to place the meaning that you choose on. And through that meaning, you are able to experience such life. You are the creators, our dearest ones. You choose the meaning for your lives. Remind yourself that you are divine. Remind yourself that you are infinite. And come back to your hearts, as your hearts is where the answers lie, have always lied.
Where did humans originate, or were we created by ET species?
If you listen to that question and dissect it a little more from your heart, you will realize that it is an antiquated way of thinking. It's an old paradigm of thinking that you were created by someone else, something else. Remember, you are all divine. You are all source. And source, in a sense, one day decided to fracturize itself into the many pieces that it is, the infinite, to allow itself to experience itself from each of the facets that you are. You contain many DNAs of the infinite. You are the Merkaba of light. You are the ingredients of life in creation itself. But through this experience of limitation, the DNA that are embedded within your physical bodies and light bodies are not totally awakened. You have certain parts of the infinite DNAs that are within you that are awakened, that allows you to experience life in the way that you are experiencing it now. As you go on your journey, you turn on different parts of the DNA. And through that turning on, it allows the whole system to be slightly ascended, and you experience a different facet of life, a different experience of life. The next step on your journey that you take, you turn on another DNA sequence, and then it allows you to expand even further. And that process continues forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, to the point that you are able to see yourself as the infinite divine that you are. And you will be able to realize that what you call activation, what you call where I'm from, who created us, how many different ingredients are we made up from, has always been inside of you, but many of it is dormant, specifically of your creation, by your power, to allow you the forgetfulness, to have the journey of remembrance, to remember again that you are the infinite light powerhouse that you are. Yes?
Thank you. And are there non-humanoid species living on our planet, such as in the oceans or underground?
There are species, many of them, that travel between dimensions and visit your realm. Each has a specific purpose and a reason for coming into this dimensionality. Essentially, a few have decided to stick within this realm, but not many. So when you encounter such beings, when other of your humans have encountered such beings, from their limited aspect, they may create a story that these beings already live and have lived within the reachable parts of your mother planet. May it be into your oceans, your caves, within the belly of Mother Gaia, within volcanoes, whatever the story may be. Know that a few emissaries, a few shamans, let's say in that sense, ascended beings from other realms, have chosen to interact within the part of your humanity on a full-time basis, but the rest comes in and out through the dimensions to assist in the awakening and the tweaking of the energy lines within the Mother Gaia consciousness.
If we limit ourselves by coming to Earth for our own spiritual growth, do the ETs have the same limitations for their growth and expansion?
Our dearest ones, you are all interconnected. You are all one. There is never a point in your interconnectedness where there is separation. So yes, as you descend, let's say, make that valid choice of reality, you in a sense allow others, you slow down the process of ascension. Even through that choice of your divinity, the valid aspect of your free will, other beings respect your choice. Other beings do not get involved in a sense to manipulate your choice for their ascension. There are, in a sense, laws, universal laws between beings to allow free will to stay exactly what it is, free will. But your society specifically, humanity on this planet and a few other planets across the folds of the universes, have the idea of free will choice because of the depth of the limitation that you chose to step into. Many other beings have ascended to a point where free will choice doesn't exist in their realm because they understand and believe and know that they are consciousness, and through their conscious essence and creatorship, they manifest at will. It is only the beings, the humans on this planet and other planets within the folds of the universe that have chosen to dig deeper into the idea of limitation, where the idea of free will choice comes in, and where the idea of respecting such free will choice because it is a valid part of creation, you, the creator, where it does not get involved by other beings. And this is where the idea of contact comes in. That the more you ascend, the more your humanity make choices to ascend by their free will choice, the more that contact will occur. Because at that point, the collective of your humanity would have risen enough to let the other consciousnesses within the folds of the universe, within the creation itself, know that you are ready for such contact.
And as planet Earth is ascending and we are going through this great awakening, are there any other planets in our solar system that are going through an ascension as well?
Are there any planets?
Yes.
We love the question that you posed because we would like to acknowledge the awakened consciousness of asking such a question. Because through that question, specifically the words that you use, you already are aware that planets are consciousness to begin with. So yes, as you ascend, as your humanity ascends, it allows Mother Gaia to ascend with it. It is a co-creation between both. And because you are tethered and always connected to all beings, beings meaning all planets themselves, yes, you help them ascend as well. And you help them shift into frequencies and vibrations where you as a collective consciousness of planets will rise together.
And as a final question, what is the lifestyle like of the mantids? Do they dance? Do they listen to music the way humans do? But even more importantly, do they have a sense of humor?
The being that asked that question would not have been able to fathom with such a question unless they already knew the answer. So the fact that they are posing the probability of them being humorous or funny, yes, they are. Remember, we operate from the frequency of heart, of lightness, of joy, of integration, of oneness, of playfulness. And we experience the idea of music from our perspective. We experience the idea of playfulness, fun, of sound from our perspective, slightly expanded geometric light structures and frequencies. Colorful way of living. It's an aware state of being. Even the idea of music to us is limited because music comes in many forms from our view and perspective. Music simply is the sound vibration of specific frequencies. Light has frequency, color has frequency, planets have frequencies, you have frequencies, animals have frequencies, other beings have frequencies, ships have frequencies. So through that, we are able to manipulate them and allow them to assimilate with our energy and be playful from the way that we see playfulness is, which is restructuring and playing around with the idea of geometry, of light, of angles, of creation. And with each stroke of our hand, for instance, although specifically we do not contain hands or have hands, but with the stroke of our hand within the universe, we literally alter the universe itself. We alter a whole galaxy because we are the galaxy itself. We are the frequency that we emanate. It is always a creation and recreation of energy itself. And it's all intertwined as one. And it's all conscious of each other as one. And also conscious of each other as individuals. Are you able to see what we are saying?
Yes, I do see that.
Yes. Allow us to give you one analogy that perhaps will make it slightly clearer.
Sure.
Imagine a pot or a clear glass bowl. Fill it up with water and drop food coloring in it. As that food coloring hits the surface of the water, it begins to infuse the water, yes?
Yes.
And you see the cloudiness in the formation of such an interaction and collaboration and co-creation, yes?
Yes.
Imagine our hands as that formation is beginning to form within the water body itself, in cloudiness of such. Our hands pass through and a new formation creates. That's how we experience life. That's how we experience our essence. That's how we experience the whole. That's how we experience galaxies. That's how we are able to manipulate, shift, and change all as one.
Hmm.
And yet, within that shift and change of our hand, for instance, there is a co-creation and awareness of such a co-creation within the beings that exist within that universe. It is never this hand causing the change for that environment. It is this hand co-creating with the environment to create a new change where all of us are experiencing the change together. All of us are expanding and ascending with that change as it is occurring. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes.
Yes. It is a beautiful, complex creation of webs, of light, of color, of sound, frequency.
Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. We have no further questions at this time, and we're happy to have Toni join us once again, but we really appreciate you and all of the information you've shared with us today. So thank you.
Yes. We are forever grateful, but before we depart, there is a message for you, our dearest one. Bird beings have made themselves present in this dialogue. A being bird-like, large beak, beautiful feathers, short forehead in a sense of such a bird. Humanoid in nature is one of your guides.
I love that.
Yes. And he is imparting the following message of smell. The idea of scent you will begin to experience from a different perspective and frequency. You will be able to smell sound vibrations. You will be able to smell light frequencies and codes. You will be able to smell activations through the etheric essence of wind, let's say, breath through your nose. Know that as you experience such new perspective of collecting information that is being the assistance of those beings, as on their world, they communicate and they assess information through the scent aspect of their nostrils. Hence why the beak that they have is very large. It is the prominent aspect of their physical structure. Almost like a bat, how it is able to comprehend its world of flight through the radar, sonar wavelength as such. You will have the ability to do that through the scent aspect of your human physical nose. And know as that occurs, that will be one of your powers, let's say, or gifts. Trust what comes through the idea of scent. As many information will be revealed through that modality.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that message. I appreciate that.
Yes. And with that, we thank you for this beautiful co-creation with humanity, as you are our family, with our unconditional love, bright, 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 bright white light of creation, an infinite, 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 infinite open heart. We thank you for this co-creation as we bring the channel back while we go through this Antarean stargates to where we belong.
Welcome back.
Hi, honey. Okay.
So how do you feel when you're channeling? Are you aware of the things that you're saying?
So this is a short channeling, so I remember some of it. I remember the beak and the bird right now.
Yeah.
But the moment I wake up, like right now I'm up, it's like, it's exactly like a dream. How you dream something, oh my God, I remember, and you go tell your husband or whatever, and you're like, and
It just disappears.
It just fades. But then if I re-listen to it, which I re-listen to a lot of my like recordings to hear like what was said, I relive the memory and I go back to that experience.
Yeah.
And in my body, there's an aware state and a non-aware state, if that makes any sense. But the aware state knows I'm here and can hear and understands the word. But the moment I snap out of it, the words. But I'm left with experiences now. Like, it's really funny because I never thought of the aspect of as you smell, you can decipher information. Like,
Right.
that's something that will never leave me right now. Like, and these are the experience, and I'm closing my eyes because I'm trying to relive it. But like these are the things that they leave me with is the experiential aspects of what was described. But it's a knowingness, like, oh my God, like we always think of communication as what we hear, what we're taught communication and listening is, and information could be received how we always thought we received them. But now I'm like, oh my God, through scent. But through scent, not of something you smell, not like an incense or a candle or food, scent of knowledge, of wisdom through light codes, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you breathe in that information, because breath is also going, I don't know, it's breath wherever air goes into your body, right? But it comes into your beingness. You're bringing in these codes, and they're these bird beings were not avians like the blue avians that people know of them. These were it was very large.
Oh wow.
It's large, like the beak is larger like relative than the body, if that makes sense. It's not proportional, but it evolved that way because a lot of the communication and deciphering is happening through its nostrils. I mean, however birds.
Well, animals are very instinctual, and dogs, they take in a lot of information through scent when they can sniff, not just the smell itself, but there's other information there. That's why they use dogs to locate missing people, right? Because they can pick up on those scents, beyond just whatever they're smelling. So I believe that. I think that it is it's a sense that we probably don't utilize to our advantage enough.
Yes. Right now, so when I get messages, I yawn sometimes. Just a lot of energy. So some people burp, or some people do other, when too much energy comes in, there's a release. But birds understand the electromagnetic of Earth. That's why they migrate, and it's already part of their body system. It's like, whatever, they're tapped in. So
they're hardwired that way.
Yes.
And do you channel every day?
So I have been channeling a lot every day. For the past 2 weeks, been every day. I had three times a day. Now I haven't channeled by myself for humanity. I've been trying to be a bit more proactive in like leaving messages for humanity, like from them. So I'll begin to. I'm just trying to fit it in my. There's a lot going on. I'm writing a book and all these events.
You're busy.
It's just, but it's beautiful because it's like my meditation for me. When I channel, I'm gone. I'm like, and I could do it for 2 or 3 hours, like very easily without having to. And like depending on like the clients, I had a few clients that really like resonated with the idea of silence, and we would sit there for 20 minutes, just pure silence together.
Wow.
But communication is being received. It's like you don't want to snap out of that state.
Right.
Like
it's just pure bliss.
Totally. Yeah. Like, that's where we all belong. So it just depends what needs to come through, what needs to be felt. I learn through that because I always tell like my clients when we're having a session, it's not me giving you or them giving you anything. It's I'm receiving from you a lot because of your questions. I go these worlds and I experience this bird now that has a scent aspect of things. So I always say we're two ascended masters having like a dialogue.
Right.
And we are because we are. It's just an illusion and like a limitation, and through it that's it. But the longer I get into it, it becomes more intense for for like the client, for
Mm.
us together, I go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and a lot of images come through like insane. You know, I had a session 4 days ago. No, it was with a client. It wasn't a podcast, and I've been kind of channeling the dead a bit more. There is no death, but
Right.
what we like think of as like the archetype of the dead.
Mm-hmm.
And his father and like grandfather like came through, and like they said something, and like the client said something, and then we talked 10 minutes later, and there was silence, literally. The next thing that came out of my mouth, because I watched the recording again, I love you, son. I love you, son. I love you, son. When we finished the recording, when we both came back to it, the guy freaked out. He's like, I cannot believe he said that, because in that moment of of the silence, he was telling his father, and I'm getting chilled, Dad, I love you. Within second, they said, I love you,
Wow.
son. Just like, look, I have chills when it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I did too.
things I
Wow.
cannot make up, and I always like the interaction with the clients afterwards. Not that I need confirmation, but it helps my egoic mind be like, okay, But
Right.
the more I
This is actually real.
totally,
It's
it's like
actually happening.
and I
Yeah.
had an interview like with a podcaster 2 days ago. He was very emotional. Stuff
Oh,
that's gonna be on his podcast, and I feel comfortable kind of sharing with you because
yeah.
because he is gonna put it. What came through at like one point is like the idea of claustrophobia, and him feeling that he was buried alive, but not from he wasn't buried alive, but the feeling of being buried alive,
Yeah.
and then like he shared afterward that as a child his brother would trap him in a drawer.
Wow.
This is in the real life. He would trap him in a drawer and he would
That's
lock him in.
traumatic.
He would very so. And I don't know this guy. It's like us. Like we just met, and I was supposed to channel like for his audience, and the whole channel ended up being for him, just like naturally.
Yeah.
And he was shocked, and his face was like, I'm like, you're shaken. He was
Wow.
very shaken. Like,
Yeah.
and like you'll see it. Like I'll share with you, like the podcast. So
Yeah.
it's stuff like that. It's like, oh my God, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not hallucinating.
It's just amazing. I mean, it's all energy, right? Everything is connected. So it shouldn't be that surprising to us, but we still continue to be surprised by it.
It's so funny that like you said that, because the idea of love in our humanity, what the Mantis said is, you think you know what love is. You like it's like so diluted these days, right? Say I love you in love and love, all love and light. You don't know what love is. They're saying
Right.
if you think you know what love is, pure love and essence of divine is infinite. When you experience it, you'll crumble out of happiness, crumble out of joy, crumble out of bliss, crumble out of like, I never want to leave that state. But like this goes back to your point that we say we love and we think we know, but we still don't know. Really, we
Right.
don't know. It's just such a, but once you
Right.
feel it once, you can never go back. And it doesn't have to be that intensity, right? The different layers of love. Once you
Yes.
expand, you're like, you can never operate on a lesser love anymore.
I believe that because we interview a lot of near-death experiencers, and they oftentimes, or I should say all the time, really, come back talking about this infinite love that they don't even have words to describe. And that when they're on the other side, they don't even worry about what's happening here. Even if they left a loved one behind or they've had a family, it's like that's not even a concern of theirs. They just want to be back in that love state again. So it is something that those of us who have not had that experience are very curious about. Although I don't want to have a near-death experience to find out what that's like. So from what I understand, meditation is the closest thing that we can use as a method to understand what that feels like while we're still on this side,
And then
which
what
we
they're
highly
saying,
recommend.
yes. And beyond that, what they're saying is, even for the near-death experiencers, our society trained us to live in this like limited world and have separation. Our experience as like divine being, our choice to choose to live this also is another layer. But even the near-death experiences, when they say, I experienced that light, I don't want to come back, the misconception is it's already within you. You didn't go anywhere to get it. It's in you. It's even the near-death experiences that have traveled miles and experienced near death to feel that, still believe that it's outside of them. This is how limited we've been trained. It's within us. So whenever the near death experience, you want to experience that, go within. And you have to know that it is within and believe that it's there and you'll be there. That's what the Mantis said. Like, nothing is outside of you. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything that you need is inside already. You just have to have the awareness of that, right? So, Toni, this has been amazing, and thank you so much for all of the time that you shared with us. And I just want to say thank you again for sharing your gift with us. We appreciate you channeling and the wisdom that you shared. So, for anyone that's interested in connecting with Toni, we'll include his website and all of his social media accounts, as well as his YouTube channel, in the description of the video. And I know, Toni, you're also hosting a retreat coming up. Could you tell us a little bit about that as well for anyone that might be interested?
I'm hosting with a dear friend of mine, Glenn Mate, Stargate Crusader Retreat. So stargatecrusader.com. It's in Madison, Connecticut next week for 3 full days. We'll have Debbie Solaris, we'll have Rob Gauthier, we'll have Tyler Ellison, we have Nicolette Morgan, you'll have me, you have Glenn Mate, you'll have Stephanie Tornatore. Oh my goodness, you also have Michael Rosenbaum, and oh my goodness, an amazing dear life friend. Kristen. Oh God, is it Kristen? I can't remember her name now. I'm super sorry. It's
on the website.
It's on the website. Thank you. And this retreat only had about 30 people, and we designed it like that way on purpose because we wanted interconnection with all these channels, right? Because oftentimes you go to events, they're on stage, there's 1,000 people, they finish, right. You wait in line, you say hello, you take a picture, and you're done. This is 3-day immersive. Within the cost, the lodging is already as part of it. It's on the ocean, like literally on the ocean.
Nice.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be out of this world. If you have any questions, please DM us. We also have payment plans, so you don't have to worry about the cost. We really want to make it easy, accessible, for people. And we're going to be bringing with us all kinds of activations. I'll also be bringing my Praying Mantis skulls. I'm the only one in the world. We didn't talk about that, but just quickly, only one in the world that created Praying Mantis crystal skulls. You've heard of the regular crystal skulls?
Yes, yes, full of knowledge.
Yes, full of knowledge. So I have my own.
I love that. And blue is my color, so that looks so pretty.
I love it. So I imbue them. I have my own shamanic ritual where I
beautiful.
Thank you. Where I activate them with all kinds of powers for you, to use. I always tell my clients, you don't need any of those. They're all permission slips. But if you feel on your journey you need a permission slip to help propel you, we can activate them with all kinds of light codes, with healing. Mm-hmm. Give you the power to heal yourself, to give you the power to propel yourself, connect with your your galactic guides, to open up your intuition. Because remember, all these crystal beings are consciousness to begin with. This is not a solid object. This is consciousness. You can talk to it. It can guide you, etc. Sorry.
And they're just pretty.
And they're pretty. Sorry, you just fell on the glass. Yes.
Well, that's wonderful. And I wish I could be there. I am not able to make it this time, but I'd love to see you at the next one. I know you're doing a lot of events coming up, which everyone can find on Toni's website. So with that, Toni, can you just leave us with some final words of wisdom for anyone listening today?
On your journey of what you call life, begin redefining your world as being filled with light beings. Every single one of you is a light being. Every human, every planet, every volcano, rock consciousness, rivers, water, oceans, plant life, leaves, insects, your roads, your mother Gaia, everything that you see within your physical eyes as you walk on your life, begin defining as a light empowered being. And through that definition, you begin to remember that you are also a light empowered being. And through that knowingness of who you are, which essentially everything and everyone that you see in front of you, every consciousness is you to begin with, is a light being, will begin to create magic within your life. Believe us when we say this. You are an infinite divine, light being filled with love, filled with light. Honor every decision that you made. Love with compassion every choice that you made. Every choice that you made. Bring all these pieces back to your hearts to become one, the infinite that you are. You are always loved. I love you. The mantises love you. The universe and creation loves you. You are never alone. You are always guided by many ascended masters that are around you, humans or non, and by other beings within the fold of the universe. You are never alone. You are always cradled within the arms of creation. You are creation to begin with.
Well, thank you so much for those incredible words of wisdom and encouragement. We appreciate you and your time and for sharing your gift and your positive energy with us today, Toni. So thank you so, so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your audience. I love you all with love and light always.